Hey, it's the Redeye stream number 76. Doomsday clock says we all gonna die. What do you guys think about that? Before we dig into the actual story, let's go down to the panel. What is the Doomsday clock people? Are they even credible? Cabbage, are they credible? Fuck you, Cabbage. 40. Are they credible?
Well, no, sorry. I was trying to be quiet. You see, you caught me off guard there. No, I don't. They've been doing this since the days of, you know, the whole idea of peak oil. I mean, they just find any angle that they can. That is going to be the cause of, you know, the next doomsday. I don't see they're any more credible than anybody else who's saying that, you know, we've got serious geopolitical issues. You know, they just happen to get a particular forum, and I don't trust the people who are funding them either. You know, the Carnegie groups and the usual foundations. You know.
Yeah, there are a lot of like political activist groups that just they obviously have a political agenda. I remember it was sometime last year. There was there was sometime last year there was an activist group that came out and said, "Oh, well, the American democracy is no longer a democracy. It's an oligarchy now because, you know, everyone's funded by rich people and all that stuff." It's like it was so obviously politically motivated. But it's just like, funny enough, if you go back for even 30 or so years, that statement would be just as applicable, you know, to the Reagan and to, you know, Bush senior campaigns that were running. It's fucking whatever, dude.
So it's not an untrue statement.
Well, no, it is a true statement. Don't get me wrong. It's just that it is clearly politically motivated to target the people that are currently in power, even though it was true, you know, 30 or so years ago. You know, why didn't they say it then when it was so obviously true?
I would be curious to see how many of these folks have investments in companies that build bomb shelters.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true.
Like the Carlyle Group.
Oh, yeah, that or MREs or stuff. But I mean, you look at it, and I mean, to be fair, if you do look at the current political zeitgeist, Donald Trump is the president of the United States, and we were talking about this a little bit off air. Before the actual election, I had a friend. He was one of the biggest Bernie supporters in the world, went to the University of Burlington, saw Bernie all around. And I kept saying that if Donald Trump became president of the United States, it's either going to be World War III or it's crazy enough that it just might work. And I stand by that.
Yeah, but a lot of these things become like the Nostradamus code. You know, if you say it enough times, eventually it's going to be true, or you make it so spurious that you can interpret it anyhow you like. You know, that's what a lot of these groups do, especially the ones with, you know, the doom and gloom merchants. I mean, people have been saying, I mean,
It's almost like the human brain recognizes patterns and is always looking for them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but you remember going back to the day, you used to have those people with sandwich boards on them saying the end of the world is nigh, right? And some of them were doing it for religious reasons, some because of financial, you know, but everyone's saying the end of the world is nigh. That is not exactly a new experience, is it?
Well, I mean, Mad Dodge is ready. He has his tinfoil hat on.
Well, wait a minute, though. No, wait a minute, though, Cabbage, because these are actual, not crazy people on the sidewalk, on a soapbox, yelling the world's going to end and throwing cats at you, okay? These people were supposed to be respectful or respected, right?
Well, yeah, but it wasn't the scientists who were walking around with the end of the world is nigh. It was the people who they paid to do that, right?
Yeah, but then again,
they weren't self-motivated. These weren't
respected, and we see how that's going.
The people with it boards weren't like self-starters or anything. You know, they were doing that because somebody paid them to wear it.
Yeah, I mean, even then, it just takes like that one fringe group or that one fringe person to stand out on the street with a cardboard box saying the end is nigh at the right time, just so they can say "I told you so." We know how many
Yeah.
religious groups have claimed to know when the apocalypse is coming, only to be proved wrong time and time again. I mean, that's kind of what the doomsday clock is to some degree. It's just,
It is.
it's a generalization more than it's going to happen on October 28th or something like that,
Well, the world will end. It's just it could be tomorrow. It could be 2 billion years from now.
Yeah. The thing is, what they're really saying is civilization as we know it is going to end. You've got to translate what they're saying. Because the world's not going to end. The world will continue. Even if we obliterate every human being, a war, the Earth's still going to be here. Just there won't be any of us. There'll be a lot of cockroaches and rats.
Yeah.
Yeah. The planet will continue.
Yeah.
Well, 40, do you want to, first off, am I roboting anymore?
You're good.
Okay, do you want to read off a little bit of the beginning statement?
Yes, I do. All right. So this is from the bulletin.org, and this is about the doomsday clock, and it says it's 2 minutes till midnight, meaning apparently we're all going to die tomorrow. So this is an article by Rachel Brodson, PhD, blah, 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 president and CEO of the doomsday clock stuff. And it says here, the year just passed proved perilous and chaotic. A year in which many of the risks foreshadowed in our last clock statement came into full relief, as Cabbage was saying, a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree. In 2017, we saw reckless language in the nuclear realm heat up already dangerous situations, and relearned that minimizing evidence-based statements regarding the climate and other global challenges does not lead to better public policies. Although the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists focuses on nuclear risk, climate change, and emerging technologies, the nuclear landscape takes center stage in the year's clock statements. Major nuclear actors are on the cusp of a new arms race. One that will be very expensive and will increase the likelihood of accidents and misperceptions. Across the globe, nuclear weapons are poised to become more rather than less usable because of nations' investments in their nuclear arsenals. This is a concern that the Bulletin has been highlighting for quite some time, but momentum towards this new reality is increasing. As you will see in the discussion that follows, the Bulletin Scientists and Security Board has once again assessed progress, actually lack thereof, in managing the technologies that can bring humanity both relief and harm. It is my hope that the statement focuses world attention on today's dangerous trajectory and urges leaders and citizens alike to rebuttal their efforts in committing to a path that advances the health and safety of the planet. The board has provided recommendations for how we will go about achieving this end, and it is urgent that we take heed.
So what I'm hearing is we're all pointing nukes at each other. I just don't see how that's different than what had happened before. I mean, with the exception of the current political zeitgeist is all.
Well, I mean, the thing is, this has been happening for quite some time. So this happened yesterday, and the week before that, the month before that, and the year before that, and the decade before that. So I don't see how this is any different, really.
Well, it is different because it hasn't been at 2 minutes to midnight since Kennedy, I believe, the Bay of Pigs incident. And that's when the button was almost pushed. So they are saying that the button is about to be pushed.
Well, to be fair, the button was supposed to be pushed because we were depth charging the Soviet subs, and just one particular Soviet commander didn't want to be the dude to end mankind.
Could you? Yeah, I don't even want to imagine if he did set it off. But I guess somebody did. It's called Fallout, right?
Well, I mean, we've seen several iterations of that, and I mean, while it may look fun as a game to play it IRL, that's probably not cool. In fact, it'd be
Yeah,
very warm.
absolutely. Okay, so I think that's about the gist of the opening statement. It's now 2 minutes to midnight. To leaders and citizens of the world. Date January 25th, 2018. In 2017, world leaders failed to respond effectively to the looming threats of nuclear war and climate change. Security situation more dangerous than it was a year ago, and as dangerous as it has been since World War II. The greatest risks were North Korea and the United States. I'm skipping here because this thing's really long. Okay, so the biggest threat was North Korea and the United States' hyperbolic rhetoric and provocative actions by both sides that have increased the possibility of nuclear war by accident or miscalculation. They're throwing the book at the U.S. pretty much, right? Because North Korea is going to do what North Korea does. But it's the United States citizens that will listen to something like this, right?
I think this thing are reckless.
No, you see, I don't buy that because I think most of the shit that goes is not actually, for real. It's for home consumption. To impress the North Koreans ignorantly and
Oh, you're cutting up quite a bit, Cabbage.
Basically what I'm hearing here is they're afraid of an oops, we launched, and then everyone counter launches, and that's the end of the world. I believe there was actually a video about 7-8 years ago that showed that the place you want to go to is Australia, because that'll be the only place left.
Funny, I heard that Greenland was the place to go.
Well, Greenland is icy. Iceland is green.
It is. That's very true. I can't imagine there's too many nukes in Greenland.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. All of this is, and you have to, as I said before, where was it? Sorry. Takes into account climate change and, nuclear arms and political, political stability. It takes into account all these different things. So I mean, who's to say what even calculates the measurement? I mean, this is really more of an opinion than it is an actual, some kind of foregone conclusion or some kind of mathematical equation that would somehow give you a stability rate or some stupid shit like that,
Well, it's also a group of atomic scientists, though, that deal with a number of factors, and this just happens to be one of the factors they address. So essentially, it's the committee on Are We Going to Die?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. The committee on Are We Going to Die has been very wrong in the past, and I think, to be quite frank, they're being not necessarily hyperbolic, but I mean, you have to understand, this is an organization that does kind of, to some extent, thrive on attention. So, I mean, this is something that, 2 minutes to midnight, it got in the news rather rapidly. So I can't imagine they do this and, not expect attention to some degree.
But wait, nobody would ever say something shocking for clicks.
No, certainly not.
Well, yeah, and I just looked ahead, and they also bring up the Russian and American threat as well. I mean, we're not the only nuclear countries here, and as I skimmed through it, I don't see Pakistan and India as a threat. That's kind of an issue, is it not?
Oh yeah, you want to talk about the worst offenders in terms of nuclear arms productions, in terms of climate change. I mean, surely the eastern part of the globe would be the deadliest offenders, would they?
Well, yeah, I think they're the most likely to potentially destroy each other.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was India and China that was actually having skirmishes along their border, wasn't it? Just sometime late last year. So, I mean, two nuclear powers. Gee, I wonder how a direct conflict is. Wonder how amazing that's going to be.
Well, the counter to that is, as long as you have sane people in charge, if you know that your opponent has the ability to destroy you and you have the ability to destroy your opponent, that's where you get the whole mutually assured destruction principle in play. What I'm essentially saying is, it kind of looks like, sorry, Mad Dogs, but it kind of looks like the factor that is the unknown. And again, I go back to essentially President Trump, just because some folks recently have been debating that. And I go back to the fact that when Obama was president, let's face it, nobody saw him pushing the button. And one of the problems I think folks have with President Trump is they know if push came to shove, he would push the button.
What situation do you think it would take for Trump to push the button? Would it be preemptive or would it be defensive?
Primarily defensive. I mean, he's the type of guy, I feel he would listen to the generals around military personnel. If they came up to him and said, Mr. President, we know that somebody's getting ready to launch against us. We must be preemptive. I think he would do everything within his power to defend the United States of America.
Do you think there's a way to deal with the North Korean threat without nuclear arms? Can we do it with conventional warfare?
For something like that, I kind of think that we're seeing it right now. Because before, we've been literally on a policy of appeasement and everything. And remember, this started like over 20 years ago during when President Clinton was in office and stuff, because they started pursuing nuclear weapons. And then we're like, no, that's fine. We'll let you do peaceful nuclear power and everything. And so we started giving them the uranium, the generators and stuff like that. But to be fair to the North Koreans, we were supposed to continue supporting them with money and other things. And at the time, we're like, we could spend money on better things. So we kind of backed out. So they were like, well, fuck you guys. We're going to develop nukes. And they did. So, to be fair, it's kind of like a lot of the things we've gotten into. We start supporting some folks because it makes sense at the time. And then we kind of back off, leave them hanging. And then they somehow become our enemies. Go figure.
Don't you think, at least for the North Korean problem, it would have been better if we didn't sign the armistice and we just dealt with it then? We would have dealt with China then, of course, but better then than now, right? We had the advantage then.
What were we going to do? Were we just going to turn the North Koreans to ash? Because that kind of sounds genocidal, man.
That was the plan they had. They were going to drop nukes along the Chinese border with North Korea to stop China's advance, and then they were going to take out North Korea from south from the lines.
I don't know, man. That sounds like millions of dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the billions that can happen now? Wouldn't it have been better to handle it then?
Yeah,
we were already at war. I
don't see North Korea killing billions of people. They could kill hundreds and thousands and maybe millions in South Korea. That definitely is a real possibility. But or if they were to somehow be crazy enough to nuke China, which would make no sense, and I'm sure China has enough countermeasures in place to prevent that. But it's, again, what are they doing? It seems like they're trying to put up a countermeasure to prevent us from acting so they can march into South Korea and reunify Korea.
Well, that, and back then back then, if we were to hypothetically drop nukes on the border of China, for fuck's sake, China was a direct supporter of North Korea. I would argue that now we're in a more advantageous spot than we were, even 15 or 20 years ago, or even during the Korean War. China has completely divorced itself from North Korea. Like they've stopped, they stopped shipping coal. There's still evidence that they're shipping, iron and everything there. But they've, on the world stage at least, they've divorced themselves from North Korea, and because they can't be affiliated with the actions that the North Koreans are taking. So we're in a far better place than we were 15 years ago.
Yeah, but still, I think the death toll would have been lower during the Korean War because the nukes weren't as advanced. And I also think if we would have handled it then, we'd still be in a good relationship with China. There's no way we would have taken China. We would have wiped out North Korea and probably gone right up to the Chinese border, which would now be irradiated by that plan. I saw it on History Channel. Plans that they had, kind of like an invasion of Great Britain. They had planned for that too. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All I know is the president of the United States said we may turn the North Koreans to ash, and now they're joining with the South Koreans to go to the Olympics.
Well, a lot of those people that go to the Olympics from North Korea, they end up just taking off, right? They're like, fuck yeah, we're out of the country. We're not coming back.
No, but what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying is, if one were to take the principles from the art of the deal, you basically make the huge ass, basically saying that, yeah, we're not willing to appease, we are willing to unleash fire and fury like the world has never seen, which literally got the United Nations to start losing their shit. And all of a sudden, like, just imagine if you're Kim Jong-un. If all of a sudden you get a guy in there that says, yes, I will destroy you, that's a little bit of a difference from what he was used to over the past 8 and just frankly 20-something years. And if he actually has a chance to potentially make a deal where he can come out like literally looking decent, I mean, dude, I don't know. It's a start, I guess. I have no idea. It could go horribly wrong, but I mean, if you're gonna try to actually reunify Korea in some way, I mean, maybe this is how you do it. I don't know.
Well, it depends on how you want to unify Korea. Do you want Korea unified under the DPRK, or do you want it unified under Seoul and the South Korean government, who is friendly to us and Japan? I would prefer South Korea.
Well, how about just Korea?
Yeah, but okay, they would no longer be South Korea, obviously, if they unified, but that's the government I want to lead it, not the DPRK.
Well, how about they do it democratically?
What, you vote in your dictator? What are they going to do in North Korea? All they know is a dictator.
The way I would see it as a potential solution is you kind of do like they have in a UK. You do like a constitutional monarchy where you can let like the Kims, let them be their god emperors and stuff like that. So basically entitle. You don't really have any essentially direct power. It's more of a heritage thing. And then you can actually...
MC, where are you when I need you? I'm actually on MC's side on this. I think he would argue with you, memes. But go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off. I had to throw that out there.
No, I'm just saying, or you can do, I forget who it was it Styx or somebody else had said, okay, we'll figure out the details in like 100 years or something like that. So like both sides can essentially claim victory. Like Kim Jong-un can be the glorious leader who reunified Korea. And what does that mean? All you're doing is basically just having the society come back together. You get the folks in the north that can actually start getting food, that can actually start building infrastructure and stuff like that. I mean, I stand by the way you bring these folks back on the table is you build a Disney World in North Korea.
40, anything you want to respond to on that, or any more on the doomsday clock? Because we're talking about North Korea, and our next story is about the North Korean soldier that defected. So, yeah, any other thoughts on the doomsday clock?
Specifically on the doomsday clock, not all that much, admittedly. It's another one of those. To me, it's another one of those scare mechanisms. You know, it's pretty much all it is. To me, there's no difference between the doomsday clock and, you know, a bunch of religious zealots out on the street corner screaming about how Jesus is gonna come back and smite everyone with his fiery fury and all this bullshittery.
Well, I mean, remember, we're all gonna die.
Oh yeah, it's just the practicalities of dying, I guess.
Oh, we just don't know if it's today or in 80 years from now. But yeah, no, as far as everything, the nuclear thing, I mean, if you're going to try to solve a problem, I mean, sometimes you have to take risks. It's like investing. If you're investing to try to solve something, I mean, you got to take risks sometimes. If you just play it safe the whole time, I mean, that's how you get to the position we're in. I mean, President Trump, he's doing something different. I mean, again, it could go horribly wrong, but then again, that could have been said about investing in Bitcoin back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the segue back to North Korea then. I got a story from the Korea Times. That's a news source for the Redeye. I actually went out of my way. I got a paper out of Israel for a story later, and I got this story from the Korean Times. North Korean soldiers' defection. I'm giving it a shot, man. North Korean soldiers' defection motive under scrutiny. The National Intelligence Service is reportedly looking into allegations that the North Korean soldier who escaped to the south through the joint security area had caused a traffic accident under the influence of alcohol just before the defection. The case of Oh Chung-sung. Oh, did you guys hear that shit?
Oh Chung-sung?
That sounds delicious.
No, but I said it correctly. No, but did I say that? I think I said that correctly.
I think so.
Yeah, fucking A. Score one for me. Who is currently being treated for gunshot wounds he suffered while escaping to the south. Was discussed during a meeting between NIS officials and lawmakers belonging to the National Assembly Intelligence Committee Wednesday. During a meeting, the NIS officials said, Oh, yeah, that's his name, Oh, could have accidentally crossed the inter-Korean border for fear of penalty against drunk driving in the north. Okay, so they're trying, long story short, he got drunk, caused a wreck on a highway, and then he sped off across the border to not be arrested for drunk driving. Because I'm sure Kim, who probably drinks all the fucking time, hates drinking for everybody else, so he'd probably be shot. You know what I mean? And he was a soldier, so he probably panicked and ran across the border. What do you guys think?
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't care. It's irrelevant. You shoot anyone trying to cross the border, So drink doesn't make any difference. It's a non-story.
Well, as a famous last once said,
press, mate.
As a famous last once said, you would too if it happened to you.
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, there's a good chance this guy has killed people in concentration camps. So, whatever his reason for defecting, I mean, I'm certainly not going to blame him for it. I personally would find his intel to be more interesting than anything else.
Yeah, but
it's probably just some drunk guy. I mean, why does anyone think this is some serious person who worked in the Gulag or something? I don't see there's any evidence of that. Just a drunk guy who tried to get across the parallel and got shot.
Well, isn't that why?
Story.
Well, isn't that why they're trying to say that, though? So people like you will be like, this is just some criminal who tried to escape. So all the information he has is, got dirt on it now. I
didn't say he was a criminal. I just said he was a drunk guy who went across the border.
Drunk driving.
Just a drunk guy.
I'm betting drunk driving is a serious crime in North Korea. I bet you.
Well, there you go. So that will be justification enough. It doesn't qualify him as being a major intel source, does it? I don't know. It just seems like a really odd story that doesn't go anywhere.
If you were afraid of getting shot or in trouble in North Korea or essentially anywhere, if you think you're going to die, aren't you going to do everything you can to survive?
Yeah, which is what he did. He drove in the most obvious place where he might get shot. I mean, that is definitely the act of somebody who's desperate. That's not, or drunk.
Maybe it was just lost.
Yeah.
Their compasses are too cheap. They actually point south.
Maybe the polar shift has happened and nobody told us. It's another conspiracy.
Yeah, but if he actually has intel and it's good intel, this is a way to discredit him and to make it garbage, right?
God, you're really stretching a point here to try and make it relevant to anything.
I think that's the whole reason they're coming up with this drunk driving story, or else it would have been out 3 weeks ago or whatever when he defected.
Did he defect, or did he just drive like hell across the border?
I thought he was in a coma for like a week.
You know.
He was in a coma, or he was in a coma for like a couple days.
So he got shot, ended up in a coma, and he's not going to be the next Deep Throat. I would lay money on that. It's not as if anything he could give them would be more pertinent than, you know, satellite and everything else that America's got positioned over the top of Korea 24/7. Some drunk driver's going to give you some, I don't know. What do you think he's going to give you?
Maybe he was a nuclear scientist. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was. Yeah, and so he's going to know less than we do. So what does that mean? Yeah, but all right. He knows where they're building them. So gives them some strike locations.
Well, I mean, Hillary Clinton had all that information, I guess, on her server as well.
And you can pick all that up anyway from satellite because you can see the emissions from the fissile material. No, I don't know. It just seems like a bit of a non-story to me. It seems like somebody's trying to make a story out of nothing. It's like keep North Korea, you know, like, in the news.
Well,
meanwhile, ignore anything. Meanwhile, ignore anything that's going on in Syria and Turkey, where the real shit's happening. Right? North Korea is an extremely useful distraction tool, rather like Ukraine was. You know, they use Ukraine constantly as a distraction from what was going on in North Africa during all the shit kicking that was going on. You know, you couldn't report on the real activity, so therefore, Ukraine, let's make out there's a big issue going on in Ukraine when there wasn't.
Well, that also kind of sounds like the Japanese tsunami, because remember, all that shit was going on in Libya with the resistance over there. Then the tsunami happened. Everyone's like, oh my God, a nuclear power plant is getting ready to melt down. And then a month or so goes by, all the news coverage is over there. And then it gets to the point where, oh yeah, a bunch of people might die. And then France started launching planes.
See? I see it the same way. I don't see that this, especially of anything. I mean, just some guy gets drunk, possibly committed a crime over in North Korea, and then ends up in that. It just seems like it's non-news. It's gutter press. It really is. Well, distracting news from anything important, current.
No, but wait a minute. What do you do with him then? If he's worthless as an intelligence asset, he's just some dude with worms that jumped across the border with no money, no passport, no nothing.
Yeah, so he's a refugee. Well, the same thing as you do with any refugee, you know, put him through the refugee process.
If he's a criminal, wait a minute. If he escaped because of the crime, he can't be a refugee. He's a criminal. What do you do with him, Cabbage?
No, you can be a criminal as a refugee. I mean, that's what a lot of political refugees are, right? I mean, that's why you create, you claim refugee status. It's like claiming, what is it with the church,
I thought crime was a social construct.
I guess everything's a social construct these days.
Yeah. Well,
if that's a non-story, then any intelligence they got out of him, they're going to take with a grain of salt if it's true. So, I mean, really, now we know nothing about North Korea after he escaped, and South Korea fits the bill for all his medical care, right? Problem solved. Move on.
I'm going with one of the nurses. Basically, just looked at his blood work, saw he was drunk, and tried to make a few shekels by selling it to the news.
Well, the thing is if you actually go down to the comments section of this article, Mad Dodge, there's the very first person or the top comment by WL Lee. He says something very interesting. NIS is keeping the defector incommunicado without any press contact at all. So I mean, how would this even leak out to the press? You know, if this is some top secret information, and to be quite honest, this is, gosh, it might be a smear job. I mean, it's impossible to tell without actually being over there and talking to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I didn't look at the comments. Usually it's just random people, so I didn't even bother to look.
Yeah. Well,
But no, we could put the lid on that and North Korea, unless you want to talk about North Korea somewhere. We do have that news update about the Canadian billionaire coming up next.
Yeah, we can touch on that.
Let's do it.
All right. I think it was December 15th this story broke. And I think we covered it that night on the Redeye. And they had said it might have been a murder-suicide by the husband. And I said, bullshit, I bet you they were murdered on purpose. And I called it because now, out of Fox News, Canadian billionaire and wife were murdered, cops officially announced. A Canadian billionaire and his wife, who were found dead in their homes, were murdered, police said Friday, ending several weeks of speculation about the wealthy couple. Sergeant Susan Gnomes said the deaths of Barry and Honey Sherman were a double homicide. Yeah, and we know a lot of the story from the previous Redeye. But let's go forward here. They had said that there was no forced entry, of course. But in the days that followed, the family hired a private investigator. Also that worked with police up there, and they expect and they found out that the belts. All right, I'll just read the article. Fuck it. In the days that followed, prominent media outlets quoted unidentified police officials who speculated that death appeared to be a murder-suicide. The theory was never confirmed publicly by authorities. Found hanging by belts from a railing that surrounded their indoor pool. She said they were in a semi-seated position on the pool deck. Earlier this week, the Toronto Star reported new evidence from a private family investigation that included a second autopsy conflicted with the murder-suicide theory. Both Shermans died by ligature neck compressions, which is pretty much, technical term for strangulation. The new autopsy reported determined that the men's leather belts were used to strangle the couple. So there's two men's leather belts. The couple were found seated at the side of the pool at their house. They were facing away from the pool. The remaining end of each belt tied around their necks was looped around a low railing that surrounded the pool in order to hold the couple in place, according to the paper. In a statement, the family said they anticipated the police department's announcement. Yeah, so he was the 15th most wealthiest man in Canada. Like top 15, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They had said in December that nothing was found missing from the house. And the CEO of the company resigned. That's also in the article. I just skipped that because it didn't really have anything to do with new news. So I don't know who did it.
Well,
40 ounce.
Well, I remember last time we were talking about how I can't remember what the fuck it was, something with inheritance or something like that. I remember there was something involving money or property, and
that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah, I remember saying that it was a suicide. But if it was a murder, it was most likely involving whatever kind of property or money that is actually at stake here.
Does anyone else find it a little disrespectful that the picture they end up using that has a police officer on site in front of their house shows their for sale along with a real estate listing.
Yeah, I must admit, I wondered why they used that picture. That was a really unusual picture to use.
Yeah, I mean, they are dead.
They must have had aerial shots and things like that. That would have been.
It's like literally you have a police officer outside a murder scene and they have the big for sale sign out front. So, I mean, you might think it's maybe an inheritance thing, but I mean, what was he also like one of the founders of? A basically generic prescription drug company,
Yes.
which competes with whom?
Bigger drug companies.
I'm not saying that that's the case, but it does make one ask some questions because let's face it, the prescription drug industry is very profitable. There are a lot of folks in the States that literally will cross the border to Canada to purchase generic prescription drugs because they're much more affordable.
Well, then we have to ask ourselves, what drug did they recently develop? What drug is becoming more available as of late? What would, because, I mean, they're not just going to murder this person for no reason, so what was the motivation behind it?
I mean, was anything taken?
Nope, not out of the house, no.
Yeah, and the family, I think the son got the house, and they're immediately selling it. That's kind of fishy.
Yeah, but come on, you're talking about 4.7 billion or something this person's worth. The house is like a piss in the ocean, for God's sake. You know, the house is chump change.
God, I wish that house was chump change to me. Did you see that house?
Yeah, but, you know, relatively speaking, I mean, that's got nothing to do with the other, you know, I mean, that's bought and paid for. It's not even part of the additional, you know, 4.5 billion value that the guy had. So,
I mean, it could have also just been a suicide.
Well, that's what
it's
they
a very
thought
odd way
originally.
of doing it. Well, it's a murder-suicide, they thought. Like a suicide pact or something.
Yeah, but they've decided that it wasn't, that they were put there by force and held there by the neck with the belt. So, I mean, and it was two men's belts. So it wasn't like the killer came in there and took the belts off them. They had the weapons or whatever with them.
I don't know. That woman was pretty chunky. She could have probably used a man's belt. It's feasible.
Well, I'm just saying, if there was no forcible entry, I mean, that usually means they either had the doors unlocked or they let someone in.
A lawyer for another company or something?
Well, or somebody had the keys already. So doesn't mean they let them in, does it?
Oh, that is true. It's possible.
Well, it doesn't even mean they lock their doors. They probably live in a gated neighborhood.
Well, it's also Canada.
They need to check.
Well, no.
I think you got to blame the Mexican maid.
Oh, let's be real here also. You can get a locksmith kit very easily. Will that show signs of forced entry if you use the thing the locksmith used to get in your car door?
It would show signs of different scratches and places they shouldn't be. But you'd have to do the forensics on it. You'd need a while to identify that because you've got to put it under a pretty high powerful, you know, microscope and study it. But yeah, if it was a lockpick kit, you'd definitely, you know, see some kind of signs that it wasn't a key that was used. But then again, that wouldn't prove that had happened that day. It would just prove it had happened at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, they also could just come in through a window or like literally climb the tree right in front of the house and just gone in through those second floor balcony doors.
Exactly. There you go. Plenty of options. Look for grappling hooks.
Oh, wait. Maybe I've been watching Forensic Files too much because my wife likes it, but I just think I got it. They climbed in through the balcony doors, right? And the couple, they were having wine or whatever by their pool, and they came up behind them. Oh, that's how they killed them.
Ninja style.
That's right.
Yes, they hired a regular John Wick, didn't they? Big Pharma at it again.
I should be a fucking detective in Canada. Like, I figured this shit out in 30 seconds.
You'd make a good Mountie.
Was maple poisoning, eh?
I don't know. It's just to literally just hang two old folks like that. I mean, it just your standard burglar. It's usually smash and grab and stuff. I mean, I did work in the security industry for a while. It's just most folks, they'll just kind of go in through the day, smash a window, check to see if anything's unlocked. They go in there, grab some stuff of value, and then they peace out. I mean, this kind of seems like if it was a murder, this does seem planned. Or at least premeditated, I think is the correct legal term.
Well, it's just such a weird way to commit suicide, you know, with belts and facing away from the pool and looking at. I mean, it's just really bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, there were plenty of other ways they could have done it that wouldn't have been that weird. And also, I mean, where's the note, right? Suicides normally come with a note.
That's very true.
I mean, not always, man. I mean, hey, we all have.
No, I'm saying
problem.
usually.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I'm
I hear
saying
you. I hear you. Especially if you have family.
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to kind of leave some kind of explanation afterwards. You know? Especially with this one being so weird as it was. You know, I don't know. Maybe they were both into auto asphyxia.
Oh, that is very true.
Could be the case. You know, old kinky people trying to keep their marriage alive.
Yeah, but you probably wanted to hang yourself. You just accidentally perhaps kill one of yourselves. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I mean, it just seems like some.
Well, maybe one of them died and the other one got off on it. You never know.
Yeah,
okay. All right. Okay, these were real people. All right.
I think we've slandered the dead enough.
No, you're asking. You don't know, but this is the whole point, right? I mean, slandering them, saying that they killed themselves. I mean, that's a pretty high slander, isn't it? In terms of a claim about somebody, you know, or murder-suicide is even worse of a claim. I'm just saying that maybe they got their kicks in a, you know, quirky way.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I see your point.
You put it that way. Yeah, you put it that way. Shit.
Well, if you can go out doing what you love, I guess.
There you go. See, I'm trying to make it a peaceful exit. He's making it vicious.
Well, I am gonna say, I covered this story when it first broke. I've covered the update. If they ever catch the killer, I will cover that as well. Any last thoughts on the Canadian billionaire, or should we move on to the next story? Which 40 you have to read. You're gonna love the next story. Oh, he's gonna be right back. All right, so yeah, he'll be right back. So we'll have him read that one. All right, let's go ahead and go with the Hill. Trump poised for clash with DOJ over classified memo. I haven't touched the memo issue at all yet on the Redeye. I've kind of left it alone, so I figured we'd cover it a little bit tonight. So the fight over the release of a classified memo alleging FBI misconduct has set up a potentially bitter clash between President Trump and the Justice Department. Assistant Attorney General Stephen Boyd, a Trump appointee, wrote in a letter to the House Intelligence Committee, David Nunes, Republican of California, that releasing the memo publicly would be reckless and endanger national security. If the Intelligence Committee votes to release the 4-page memo, which could happen as early as next week, Trump would have an opportunity to veto the decision. But the White House has signaled tax support for the move, and it's widely expected that the president, who has previously claimed that the Obama administration wiretapped his campaign, will permit the release of the document. Up right there. Should he release it if it contains anything to do with national security? Is that in the best interest of the United States?
Well, it would all depend on what's referenced to national security, because usually if somebody doesn't want something released, what do they usually cite without saying anything? National security. Could it be national security by saying if it's released and it shows that there are a whole bunch of folks acting in very politically what we would call corrupt manner, technically that could be a national security issue because the country might just fracture even more. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, It all depends what's actually in it. None of us actually know what's in it. The president now does, because obviously he's been looking at it.
Well, and since he said he would release it, I bet you it's damning to the Obama administration. But it can also be demoralizing to the position of president, because we're talking about what a previous president did during their term in office. And to demonstrate that and to throw an ex-president, the one immediately before you, mind you, under the bus, the office in itself. Now, you know how I feel about FISA warrants. Come on now. I think those are unconstitutional. I want them gone. The memo released. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Could it demean the office of the president? Not President Trump, Mr. Obama, since he's no longer president, but the office in itself. Aren't we supposed to hold this office to a high standard?
We're supposed to, but let's face it. Would it really surprise you if at one moment the president tweets out the memo?
God, that would be glorious. But no, I gotta go back. Okay, I'm playing devil's advocate here. The president tweeting all the time in itself kind of demoralizes the office, does it not? Shouldn't he go through proper channels and release stuff like every other president has?
Well, what are proper channels?
Through your press secretary. That's why you have one.
We also had a press secretary that dressed up as the Easter Bunny.
Well, we don't talk about that. And I don't even remember that, so obviously we don't talk about that.
No, but what I'm saying, no, and I tend to agree. Well, I believe President Trump should always be tweeting out there all the time. It's like, yeah, it does kind of undermine the office of the President of the United States. But at the same point, I mean, the media is so against him from so many sides that, I mean, that's essentially his only true outlet to say exactly what he has on his mind at the moment. In some ways, it's a good thing because we always know what the president's thinking.
Oh,
but,
I love it.
On the counter, we also know what the president's always thinking, which, I mean, you can argue that that's not a good thing at the same time.
Well, memes, I love it. I want him to. I want him to put his foot in his mouth. I want to know what's on his mind at 3 a.m. I want to know this because then I can get more insight into the man. We can no longer just walk into the White House and shake hands with the president like in the old days. But right now, we sure as hell know what he's fucking thinking, don't we?
Well, no, and in some ways that's definitely good. Absolutely. Go ahead.
But on a counterpoint, I don't think it's throwing you under the bus here. Everybody could tell your accent. So another Boston man, John Adams, wanted the president not to be Mr. President. He wanted him, His Excellency, the President of the United States. And that's what he wanted to be called all the time. George Washington, shit. But don't you think John Adams is rolling in his fucking grave right now with how Trump is supposedly demoralizing the office in itself?
I mean, is he? The reason I say that is just because, like, yeah, we have all these history books of stuff that we read and everything, but did we also not have presidents that would literally duel and then give State of the Unions or different addresses?
Yeah, but John Adams literally wanted a grandiose title for the president. He literally didn't want the newspaper printing bad stuff about him. Matter of fact, he passed the Alien and Sedition Acts, which were found unconstitutional later. But he didn't want to be slandered at all. And these acts said, you cannot slander me, John Adams. Thomas Jefferson is free game. And you can't slander anybody on my cabinet that I appointed. I mean, he literally skipped over his political adversary, Thomas Jefferson, and said, go ahead, slander him. But
it sounds like he was getting kind of butthurt, though.
Well, they called him toothless. And as somebody who has teeth issues, I would be pretty pissed off, too.
George Washington had wooden teeth.
Well, George Washington didn't write the Alien and Sedition Acts. George Washington wasn't getting all this negative press. George Washington was on a pedestal from day one.
Oh yeah, because he helped
You know what
win
I mean?
he helped win the war. They wanted to make him king, and he turned it down.
So is this a ogre raid? I got Magic Bollocks jumping in and ogre here muted. What's up, guys?
Evening.
Good to see you. Having me tea.
Yeah, it's the Derail boys that come in for a bit of fun. How is everybody today?
How you books doing?
Not bad.
Hey,
How is
guys.
everyone?
Yeah. So what do you guys think? What's going on with this? What are your takes?
Oh, I'll catch up. I'll let Magic Bollocks field this easy one.
I actually don't know what we're talking about, so you'll have to inform me first.
Oh, bloody hell. You raid my show and you don't even watch a minute or two to catch up?
Certainly not. That's how you learn to swim, Mad Dodge. You just jump straight in the deep end.
Oh, cheers. I've been listening, but not watching.
We're essentially talking about the FISA memo, and basically, should the president release it? Is it going to undermine national security? Because that's what some folks are saying. So, what are your guys' thoughts in respect of that?
Well, no. We had elaborated also to the point of where does the release of the memo, even if it damages the ex-president, does that demoralize the office in itself? Because my point is, you're going to end up having people that, what if President Trump doesn't win in 2020? John Kerry said he might run. What if John Kerry fucking wins? And he then release a bunch of shit about Trump and throw the next president under the bus because Trump did it? It sets a precedent, sirs. To demoralize the president before you. And that's going to cause even more chaos in our political system. I don't care very much. I'll laugh as the whole thing burns down. And then I could build my fucking Ancapistan. But you guys might care.
Well, I don't. I think he should release it immediately because of the very fact that part of his campaign slogan was drain the swamp. And to the swamp to be drained, all this shit has to come out. And you have to ask yourself this very question. Would any of this, even the Weinstein thing, have ever come out if Hillary had won? I seriously doubt it. And the fact that now we're finding out just some of the criminality that the previous administration that we're even aware of was up to. The very fact that the corruption rang at the highest level of the FBI and the Department of Justice. The whole thing just stinks to high heaven. And if he wants to guarantee, I would say, certain victory in 2020, he needs to be not only a consistent president, but a transparent one as well. Because part of the reason Hillary was so unpopular is because of all the shady shit that she gets up to.
If it incriminates former President Obama, should he be pardoned? That's what happened to Nixon. He was pardoned.
No, I don't even think Nixon should have been pardoned. Because at the end of the day, Mad Dodge, isn't the idea of the law supposed to be that we are all subject to?
Absolutely, and I agree. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here because, I mean, really, the reason Nixon was pardoned was to uphold the office of the president. The president makes tough decisions. The president has to worry about being arrested after he leaves office. Is he going to drone anybody? Obama droned an American citizen. Should he be arrested for that? I say yes. But if he is, then the president can't make these tough decisions. Now, can he?
No, bullshit. He shouldn't be droning. You're provoking me, but no, he shouldn't be droning American citizens. I know what you're talking about. In that case, that was one of the things that made me dislike Obama. I mean, and before I was indifferent, I voted for him once, but after all that, I mean, oh my goodness, man. Obama was the worst president we've ever had as far as doing whatever he wanted, and everybody was like, ooh, let him do it, or you're racist. And yes, some Republicans stood up against him, but for the most part, that's the way it was. And now things are coming out, and they're covering it up. This uranium one, all kinds of stuff. Meeting on the tarmac, comes to find out that his behest, all that stuff, man. I mean, yeah, good Lord.
But President Obama was a smooth talker.
He's a criminal. So is Donald Trump. They just don't like him because he's white. I mean, if I had to choose one or the other to run a business for me, I'm sorry to say, but it'd be the billionaire, not the guy that was some kind of political hack that really amounted to nothing. If you took away his political career, nothing.
Well, no, Trump's run a lot of businesses into the ground.
Yeah, he has, but he has, but actually he has a much a better success rate than most people, because I believe it's like for example, restaurants, they have a 90% fail rate. So if you make it in a restaurant 10% of the time, and you in other words, if you open 100 restaurants and 10 of them succeed, you're average. If you open 100 restaurants and 30 of them succeed, you're doing really well. So when you say that, I know you can point to 3 businesses that went bankrupt out of the dozens he started. So actually, he has a really excellent track record.
No, not really.
No, I'm Cabbage.
Hey, Cabbage. Hey, Cabbage. Yeah. Cabbage. Hey, Cabbage. I could really use some help starting my very first business. Can you give me a small $1 million loan?
Yeah. That's all you need, right?
Yeah, just a small $1 million loan.
I think he got $100 million. To be honest, I think that's.
Don't forget the
million. Yeah,
it was $1 million, and then there were several other guarantees on future loans as well. Yeah. And to be fair to President Trump, some of those businesses, like the magazines, they were lost leaders. So basically, he started the business, and basically he operated at a loss to help his other businesses.
Trump cakes, Trump champagne, Trump University. Trump, I mean, countless ones. And plus, by the way, he makes money.
Yeah, so wait.
No, hang on. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Shut up.
You said those as failures. Which one of those were failures?
Well, they were.
Which one of those were failures?
All of them. And they were. The thing is, though,
none of them.
You can say that you would trust him to to make money, but the thing is, no, you think Trump's a success because he succeeds, but he takes down a lot of other people with him, with the venture capitalists. The people who invest in the venture capital, he gets paid out first. So he gets out and he's got his cash. And in the meantime, a bunch of other people lose their 401k.
Oh, he screwed a lot of folks, but he admitted to it too.
Well, yeah, he doesn't mind because he's a total, that's what he is. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so
and he called it out that it shouldn't be illegal.
Well, he doesn't want it to be legal, but he's no different than any other person who, does the same thing. And it's like carpet bagging, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't make him a great guy.
Cabbage, how can you say these things when you actually employ tactics as ruthless or more ruthless than he does, just in normal talk and normal banter and pub banter like we're doing now? You do. Fuck
fuck you. Okay. Yeah, well, how many people end up losing their pensions because I talk shit on the internet? No.
Well, nobody's lost their pensions because
of Trump.
Who's lost their pension because of Trump?
Because of Trump,
have lost jobs and money. That is true.
Who has lost a pension because of Trump? He's actually known for buying people's houses for a tip at lunch. I mean,
to be fair, the U.S. we don't really have as many pensions anymore, like the UK seems to have for certain sectors.
Well, I mean,
anyway, Cabbage, I just can't
see investors. No, we're talking. It's not just about pensions. Well, I mean, it's investment funds, right? People who've got investment portfolios and things, and the management. The hedge fund managers or whatever invest in one of his fucking blighted schemes, and then they end up losing money. That's just a fucking reality.
So the guy's exactly like you are. He's just as ruthless as you are, and you hate him for it.
Why? I'm not. When have I ever asked anyone for money? Fuck off.
You never asked anybody for money, but you would take money. He has never asked anyone for money. He got money That's how he bollocks.
That's why. He goes to venture capitalists in order to set up, the funds that then go into all of these different ventures.
In other words, to leverage what you call in that situation, you have a person that's leveraging their ability to buy, their ability to loan money. That is nothing new under the sun.
No, they're getting hedge fund investors. No, but what I'm saying is that a lot of the things that he's got involved in which he's done that, he has left. No, I'm not deflecting anything. I'm continuing.
Well, you are, because I'm asking you.
No, excuse me. I'm trying to explain it, and you go on about how I'm relevant to Trump and because I speak a certain
because you're exactly the same.
That's the same thing as using a hedge fund in order
Cabbage,
to
I can't imagine you. I would hate to be up for the same job that you were up for.
Self-subsidizing
Right,
fucking
because
business.
I would be in a cutthroat fucking war with a ruthless bastard, and you know it. So you're basically saying,
please, my God, this is the most vacuous thing you've ever said. It really is. It's nonsense.
I don't mean
to make any kind of comparative study is nonsense. But it's fun to hear it.
Cab,
anyway, you're not going to trigger me. You know you're talking bollocks.
No, I'm not. No, I'm being very genuine with you.
Well, it hasn't said anything for a while.
Absolute arse gravy. 100% arse gravy.
He hasn't either. He hasn't said a word. No, I would say that you're ruthless, that you're very pragmatic, that you're very
you say a lot of things. It's all fucking nonsense.
Well, everything.
You boys can go make out in the corner now.
You've never made a valiant point in your life unless you had 3 skins of whiskey in you. I mean, good lord.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, what is wrong with that? Yeah.
I have no idea.
What is wrong with that?
Hey, I have no idea.
No, wait a minute. Winston Churchill was a great. Hey, Winston Churchill had some great speeches, and he said them all drunk as fuck.
I thought he was too drunk as the guy from the BBC that played Winnie the Pooh.
This guy's a cocksucker. He just said, I've never made a valid point. So I've never made a valid point. Oh, good lord.
No, never. Not a one.
Never. And your mother should have had an abortion.
I'm curious on Magic Balls' thoughts on how this affects the presidency and stuff.
Yeah,
that's a good
You've
point.
got to be joking. You think I'm going to put a stop to this? These two can fucking rip each other to pieces. I wouldn't give a toss.
Cheers.
Well done, boys. Very entertaining. Do keep it up.
Cheers, Cabby. Charge your glass. Let's go.
I'm gonna do a hostile takeover for your fucking chickens.
Well, lads, that was about all I had. That was fun, though.
He's already shot his load.
Let me fire up another doobie. I'll see what I got. See what I got here.
He needs cover.
Oh, is that sound?
Anybody else want to take over? You know, anybody else want to fight?
We're not fighting. This is Cabbage and we're old friends. This is how we say hello, mate. We haven't talked in a while.
It's called wrastling.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of saying, "Hey, mate, I haven't seen you for ages. Here, let me stick this knife in your back."
No.
It's very entertaining. Memes. Is there anything me and you can fall out about?
I don't know. We'd probably agree on too many things.
I know. That's a show. I think we're too agreeable, and these two are. Well, I don't know. Maybe Omega's got something he would like to say that's completely ridiculous and controversial.
Well, maybe Madodge, you've got another storyline.
Well, we weren't even done with that. We just hit the first paragraph, and you guys went batshit crazy.
There you go.
Hello.
Hello.
No, I'm sorry, but that was a contributing editor.
Hi, Omega.
But all right, so new person.
New person.
I didn't send
Omega.
it. I didn't send it.
Yeah.
It's not Omega.
You can't be the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Yeah, I'm the nuclear.
How do I
I'm
sound?
not bi-
You're a
I'm
bit
not
low.
bipolar.
You sound English to me there. Are you English? You sounded a bit like some kind of accent.
No.
Okay, but no, I couldn't tell. Oh, nobody's here. I know this guy. This guy kicks ass.
Hey, Ogre, you been undercover lately?
Hell yeah. But I'm over there right now, just bullshit with the Magic Bollocks in the interim.
Yeah, you're
What up,
freaking
man?
people
Hey,
out.
nobody.
How did I freak someone out?
They didn't know who you were, and they're like, "This undercover knows who I am," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Ogre."
Yeah, it's undercover ogre. It's not even a secret. Why is that some kind of secret?
Apparently, they didn't know. I didn't know. I just figured it out. I'm like, "Well, this person links a ton of Ogre shit." Nobody likes Ogre that much.
No one, not even my mother. And I've got a bunch of shit. I've got like Angela Merkel as Hitler. I thought that was a dead giveaway. It's my favorite fucking meme.
I don't want to ignore everybody else. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing all right, brother. How you doing, mate?
Fine.
Hey, I had this great idea. We should start an egalitarian fraternal movement called the Lobster Society. Thank you, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, only if it could be rock lobsters.
Oh, is that is that a new
Rock
movement?
Lobster.
Is that a new one that Sargon started? The Loblerists.
No, I don't think so. Oh yeah. Oh no. The lobster.
I think that needs to be me.
The
Lobsterists. Yeah.
Yeah, the lobsters and the Harians, they're going to get together and take over the world.
Oh, you haven't let that one go, have you, Mr. Rose?
Oh no.
I'm going
The
to
world
rise
to
up.
learn about the Harians. Yeah.
I shit myself a little bit that day when you said that.
Hmm.
Also, you just
never
happened,
seen-
you worked in the word nips. You said nips in normal conversation.
I haven't seen that Jordan Peterson debate. I haven't seen a North American beat a Brit so bad since the
We all
Revolution.
got him.
I'm not gonna lie. Dr. Randomer Cam's version of it
Oh.
is amazing.
It was great. Just the best. I like his version. Instead of cutting out all the "so you're sayings," he cut out all of the after the "so you're saying," and it made her sound like a complete douche.
Yeah. She didn't need much help, Mrs. Ramen Hair. I like that from Random Monkey. I mean, what do we call it?
Yeah, a few
Ranting?
people
What's that?
mentioned
Ranting
Ranting
Monkey.
Monkey,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
Karen Strawn mentioned her hair looked like ramen noodles.
I didn't know if I thought Ranting Monkey made it up because that's the only place I heard it. But that
Well,
was
he took it from the same place she got it. A lot of people online were saying that.
yeah, if you get the two that we're talking about right now, it's both are very good. I suggest both of those.
See, I thought Kathy actually did an excellent job because she did her job as a journalist. She helped reveal the truth.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was unintentional, though, Meme. She actually did her job right by accident.
I
Yeah,
know, it's
sure.
amazing.
Yeah, she what the thing is what I want to know is that the actual Pornhub version hasn't gone mainstream yet, which is what he did to her after the cameras were turned off.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think they obviously found his price of how much you would be, accept payment to fuck a feminist.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson, apparently he got like 30 times the abuse online that she did. So he needs to figure out what bank you go to cash in those victim points.
Yeah, and he needs to get he should also get private security, right? No one.
Yeah. No one's actually.
I don't know. Jordan Peterson's in pretty good shape.
I know it's nobody. I'll get it.
Well, I have a question. Any of you guys see the no bullshit video he put out about how Spencer destroyed Sargon? The part 2 of his Sargon Has Fallen series.
I think he's butt hurt, man. Myself, I didn't like those videos. If I could, that's all I got to say.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not the
don't.
world's biggest no bullshit fan. So.
I don't think a
actually
man who's
haven't
got
seen that.
750,000 subs and earns like 15 grand a month on Patreon is really gonna give a flying fuck about somebody doing a little video about him somehow.
No, here's the thing. No bullshit does what Poisoning the Well and Very Nearly Viral do ironically.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's doing it without self-awareness.
I think he made one good point. It was towards the end. He said
He made one.
that point. That's all I'll give no bullshit. One good point. At the end, he said Sargon, by creating the liberalist movement, has pretty much became Spencer, who created the alt-right. Oh my
Spencer
god,
didn't
he
create
did.
the alt-right though.
Fucking break. He's riding a band, but
co-opted it.
and Mad Dodge, don't you feel like he's just riding the freaking bandwagon? He's butthurt over Battering's thing, and then some other people just agreed with that. And I'm a fan. But what he's doing now is making me, who is a loyal fan, not like him anymore with this shit. He needs to go on back to what he's good at and leave off of this, in my opinion.
Wait, because he attacked somebody you like?
I don't like Sargon or dislike Sargon. It got nothing to do with that. Memes, to be perfectly honest, I couldn't give a shit less. It's because of the tone of it, memes. In other words, you could attack many people. I'd be fucking right by your side or agree with them, right by your side. But if you were suddenly attacking someone that I didn't like, and it seemed to be because, memes is now, not that you'd ever be this way, but, I'm so hurt. Well, I mean, come on. Didn't you hear me and Cabbage saying hello today? I mean, that's the kind of guy I am. I just don't buy into the I'm feeling. And so therefore, and maybe am I reading something into it?
So
I watched
you
the
felt it
videos.
was more disingenuous.
I did. Yes. Yes.
Everything he does is disingenuous. It's just who he is. He doesn't. I don't know that he believes anything he says one way or the other.
I mean, it's not like he has a picture of a bull taking a dump or anything on his channel.
And his name is getting more ironic the more he talks. That's the weird thing.
Well, you think he should just drop the node, yeah?
Pretty much. I think it should slowly fade away with each video, and that would be brilliant. I'd be like, oh shit, he's been trolling us the whole time.
Yeah, just call it pure bullshit.
Well, no, and memes gives me shit all the time for kind of stealing the Redeye stream from the Redeye that was on Fox News. Fair enough.
Well, you did.
First time I ever saw no bullshit, I was looking up Penn and Teller's bullshit, and somehow no bullshit popped up.
Yeah, and his channel is no bullshit. Bullshit was awesome. That show needs to come back, but I don't know about Teller, but Penn kind of cucked out.
But you can't say that, just briefly, you can't say he stole the Redeye because the Redeye means an overnight flight. It means a long drive at night. So, I mean, I got to give him credit.
I don't think anybody's of the Redeye on Fox.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think anybody's asked you this, Mad Dodge. If they have, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Did you take this because of that? Was that your inspiration?
How about a sort of a slightly more...
Yeah. I did watch that, and I liked Greg Gutfield. So I was like, oh, and I my original time slot was midnight West Coast time.
Yeah. How about an alternative?
The kids were in bed then. But then I found out all my panelists and all the UK viewers only watch during the day. And go ahead, Bollocks. I wanted to spit out a sentence for us.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say that if you should have to drop the Redeye, you could always change it to something a bit more eye-catching, like the Jap's eye or something.
The clear eye.
The brown eye.
Yeah.
The pink eye.
The pink eye. That's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he calls it the brown eye, I have to be here every time as the mascot.
My sister was so gross. I was a young boy, and I was like going to pee one night, and I heard this tremendous giggling at a sleepover, and I looked in the window in the door, and my sister and her friend were putting their fingers by their vaginas and wiping it under the eyes of these two nerd girls they'd invited. These like 15 girls. No, I'm not shitting. And I was like, I won't say her name even, and hopefully nobody watching will ever tell on who this particular person is. This is live right now. Oh, and they were like, I was like, what are you doing, sister of mine that I love? That's so gross. And I was a little kid where that was like really weird too. And she's like, we're giving him pink eye.
Ew.
I shit you not. I'll never forget that if I live to be 1,000.
Girls are fucking evil.
I thought you were actually going for another suggestion there, Mr. Roger, which was the cunt eye.
No, yeah, that's for the cunt stream. No, but that's I'll never forget that, Bollocks. She said we're giving him pink eye, and I mean, I saw. I'm looking in the door. It was like down there, and then wiped it on the eye. That is so gross. It's like nobody said, man. Are girls? We got no girls here tonight. It's a boys' night out. Are women not the most disgusting creatures on earth? Their bathrooms are grosser than ours.
You do realize Buttercup was here at one point.
I mean on the panel with us. Buttercup's a dude anyway. Really,
I think serial masturbator Louis C.K. said it best. A guy will destroy your body, but a girl will take a shit in your soul.
Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Oh yeah.
What videos he's been watching? Obviously, whatever he was wanking off to when he was with them women, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
he's no longer comedian Louis C.K. He's serial masturbator Louis C.K.
Definitely. Yeah.
He probably appreciates that's the problem.
I think obviously CK stands for cock cranker, doesn't it?
Oh,
yes.
So what do you guys think of this whole CNN thing about the happiest relationships are when you cuck out?
Cuckold.
Yes, I saw that. That's one of the few times I bothered to click on the CNN. That is a very interesting fact that they even use the word cuckold, considering they consider it a vulgar term of the alt-right.
Hey, Mad. If you,
I was just gonna say,
if you give me your address, I'll make your marriage better.
I didn't actually,
yeah, and I'll shoot you with my shotgun when you arrive at the door. I mean,
he's gonna hurt him up. He's gonna hurt him up there, Bollocks.
I'm offering assistance, Mad. Why are you threatening me?
Dude.
Was that you said,
he doesn't need any more kids, mate.
No, that is a brilliant idea. You can just be caught by your best friend boning his missus, and you say, "What are you doing? I'm saving your marriage."
Oh yes, you should thank me, sir, as I just pour the cock.
Back in the early 2000s, we just used to say it wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Well,
Yeah,
Did
you don't
you-
have to no more.
Did you hear the thing about that? Like the study was actually done with exclusively like gay male couples, but they just said, well, we just extrapolated it out to all relationships.
What? You're
To be
shitting me.
fair, there actually is a lot of cuckold porn.
That's not how studies work, though.
But that's a bullshit study then.
That's what I mean. You can't go, well, we just get this exact one type of relationship we studied, but relationships are just a social construct.
Look at that.
So, according to CNN, if they're
Yeah.
saying that heterosexual and homosexual couples are practically the same, that means the same amount of heterosexual men and women are into fisting, and the same amount of heterosexual men are into bug chasing.
Well, to be
Oh.
fair, though, there are significant differences. I'll give
that's
you one. The highest rates of domestic abuse are found in lesbian couples, the lowest in homosexual male couples.
That's not a grinder memes. That is a container full of earwax.
Yummy.
I see. I understand. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Next time you go to a
No,
party
that
that has
isn't.
hummus,
No, that
stir it.
isn't. That's actual fisting lube.
Yeah, it is.
Made
For
out
my
of pure-
cuckolded girl that I fuck when her old man watches.
Yeah, made out of
An ass.
finest Californian sand.
Mm.
I used to have a girlfriend I called Sleepy, and she had a husband, and I used to bang her at the house when her husband was there. Does that mean I was cuckolding him, or not really? I mean,
I
it's
thought you were going to say she had narcolepsy. 'Cause I
No,
had one of those.
he wasn't in the room. He wasn't with us in the room watching, but he probably knew I was banging her. Is that the same thing?
Is that like a new form of foreplay? Is it? You just love people who randomly fall asleep.
No. I met this girl at work, and she just happened to have narcolepsy, and it was
flipped
interesting.
it to her?
Actually,
Wait a minute. Did you get consent before she went to sleep?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Yes.
No, come on.
Well, that's what I thought you were talking
course,
about.
Of course.
That was
Yeah.
implied by him having seen her.
Like he
Oh.
I mean, hey, no, she was minx. She was a
I
minx.
thought
Actually,
made her fall asleep. Nobody. In other
Yeah,
words,
you just take the attitude. Yeah, she's still warm. That's consent.
it actually worked out because when we went to the relationship, I'm just like, she wanted to move in right away. I'm like, well, I got an extra room at the place and stuff. She's like, oh, that's fine. If it doesn't work, I'll just be your roommate. And one day she had downloaded Pokemon Go, and she told me you should download it. And she's like, oh yeah, if you download it, she's like, there's a drowsy in my room. And I just proceeded to start laughing. And she's like, well, why? I'm like, you do realize there's a drowsy in your room. And then she burst out laughing because I was making a reference to her narcolepsy, which was probably kind of mean, but it was humorous at the time.
This is completely unrelated to everything, but has anybody seen the Adendra Whitehall video on Aziz Ansari?
no, but I hate that bitch.
Oh, he covered it. You don't like Adendra?
I don't like Aziz Ansari or whatever.
Oh, you'd probably like it. I think you guys would all like that video. That video is just awesome.
Now, is that the chap who's trying to get rid of net neutrality?
No, Aziz Ansari was the latest #MeToo victim.
Ah, okay, right.
Who the woman puts out the thing where in her own statement she never said no. Well, she did eventually say no, and when she said no, he stopped.
Right.
But she was just like, oh, I didn't really like this, and I didn't really want to do that. And I sucked his dick, but not for very long because I wasn't into it.
I know the one you mean now. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did it. I didn't want to, but I did it anyway.
I was getting mixed signals.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of the video, and it's great. Like he just goes through it section by section, and it's so fucked up.
I'm not a big fan of Aziz, but I will say this: the whole idea of what happened to him there. I mean, I don't even know why anybody's talking about it. It's a ridiculous situation. I have had sex with girls I didn't really want to because I felt bad for her at the time, and I'm sure some girls have done that with me, and I really appreciate that from them. I hope that them bitches appreciate it from me. So fuck it, ain't we all even?
When you call
you're
yourself
so
a
high on
feminist,
agreeableness.
and then you get shit on by women, that's your fault.
Yeah,
sometimes you got to pay for that.
Some folks like getting shit
So
on
same,
by women.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they do, like turds in their chest. But doesn't the same go with the other way? Nobody. In other words, if the girl gets shit
Whoa, no! You got that wrong, Mr. Oak. No, they don't shit on the chest. They do what they do in the brothels in Japan.
no,
where
I
they-
can't listen. I don't want to
Oh,
listen.
this is the one where they actually pay them. They lie down on the floor. They get a sheet of glass and then get them to cock their ass over them and then actually put it on the glass. Yeah, while you know, playing with the old fella at the same time.
Didn't they make a
Why
video
would
about that
someone
back in the
do
day?
that?
What did you
Yeah,
just put like?
what the strangest thing about that kind of porno, which is they can show you shit, they can show you eating it, they can show piss, all that sort of stuff. But as soon as they start doing the normal sexual activity, it's pixelated.
What?
Yeah, Japan's
And then-
weird.
And then why on earth would people? That's probably why they want to have someone defecating over them while they masturbate. That is the
Well,
most.
Look,
I think we've worked out why there's
Not
got a
the
population
academic line,
problem.
think about it. That's how weird it is. I just want to have fun in the Redeye because we go back to something that. Oh,
No, generally, that's the reason I think there's a population problem in Japan. Because would you want to get with a bird who, instead of wanting to have sex, just wants to shit all over you?
no!
hey, cake farts is a thing, and 2 girls, 1 cup is a thing, and neither of those are Japanese.
No.
So I'm just saying, it's not
Go to
just
McDee's.
Japan in this case.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Who needs to go to a
All right,
McD
all
to
right.
get a McFlurry, eh?
So, but yeah. If anybody hasn't seen it, I recommend checking out that Dendro video. Is
What,
pretty
2
fun.
girls in a cup?
Not that one.
Oh boy, Mad Dodge. Where's Mad Dodge? Is he here?
So, speaking of shekels,
Yeah, dude, read off that Israeli story I had. Like seriously,
Thank you,
man,
Lord.
read that shit off.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lord.
all right, from the J Post. Let's see what we got here. All right. Okay, so Israeli marijuana is growing, but exports have nowhere to go. So last week, the cabinet hinted that it would approve exports of medical cannabis during the 2019 state budget vote, only to dash hopes by leaving the measure out. So, with dozens of Israeli growers and manufacturers receiving licenses to produce medical cannabis, bureaucratic roadblocks and ministerial infighting could leave the marijuana to eventually rot or be sold on the black market, costing companies more than NIS 1 billion. Last week, the cabinet hinted they would approve exports of medical cannabis during the 2019 state budget vote. I just read that again. Blah, blah, blah. The government reportedly told Israeli medical manufacturing companies that they would be approved by 2018, according to industry experts. That persuaded the companies to embark on a multi-billion shekel investments, some which could now be in jeopardy. Now we have big problem because it will be 3 months from now and the growers still won't have export licenses, said Hagit Winstock, an attorney who represents 60 Israeli cannabis growers and producers. With tons of marijuana being grown across Israel and potentially no option to export, another industry-related employee threatened that the product would eventually be sold on the black market. They have no other choice because people are growing tons of cannabis, Weinstock said. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to be drug dealers? Well, that sounds like a whole lot of happy Jews to me.
That's I don't. Well, that wasn't in the article, was it? You added that addendum at the end, right?
You can take that as you will. You should actually read things in life.
Oh, I read most of the article, asshole.
Hey, a little ad-libbing is all right here and there.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for a lot of nose jobs, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of shekels, as they put it. See, I didn't.
I love Jewish
I didn't
girls.
know that-
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't like all the anti-Semitism, but carry on.
You know, that was in the Jerusalem Post. I went to an actual Israeli website, so I doubt they'd be anti-Semitic against themselves, unless they're really ironic, I guess.
Oh, I'm just claiming my victim status as a minority. That's all.
Well, no, and I'm just saying I didn't know that's what they actually called their dollar over there, but it is, I guess.
Yes, it is. It's Hebrew for dollar.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a fucking stupid joke.
I should actually say it would be more proper to say that dollar is American for shekel because shekel's been around for centuries, millennia.
Fair enough. But that is a lot of money.
Come on, man. No Jew joke. I said all that. No Jew jokes. Not one Jew joke. Sorry.
Hey, nobody hates Jews more than the Jews do.
Well, I mean, Hitler did prove that.
Hitler was a reptilian. Everybody knows that. Come on.
No, but seriously, Ogre, since you're here, are they gonna go from Afghani weed in the outlaw states here to Jewish weed? Like, is there going to be some Jewish strains coming in instead of the Afghani?
Well, you know, they've been growing good dope since the mid '80s in Israel, and you know, it's something that's really accepted in their community. So all I can say is bring it on, man. I do like BC Bud. You know, when it comes right down to it, if you really want some good pot, man, I mean, good indoor grown pot, it's BC Bud.
Just remember.
In fact, I'll go even closer to that and say Kelowna, BC, the most beautiful.
I don't know. I've had some great Afghani Kush too.
When you smoke Afghani Kush, you smoke with ISIS.
Dude, hey, no, this was pre-ISIS. This is before we ruined it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Talibani Kush. My bad.
Okay, that's fair.
Or Mujahideen.
Dude, all I know is there was this Afghani Kush. You'd smoke it, and you wouldn't immediately feel anything. But literally 2 minutes on the dot later, you were happy son of a gun.
Yeah.
Every puff
you were gonna die. One of the two. For me, that Afghani shit makes me clutch my chest and feel like I'm gonna die about 2 minutes later. It's like, oh, everything's fine. I start to feel, oh, I'm a little buzzed, and all of a sudden it feels like there's a strobe light blasting that's from somewhere, and it's like, oh god, I'm gonna die. Of course,
that's because you roll like a half ounce in every doobie.
Touche.
Hey guys, I don't mean to brag, but I had a pot edible once.
Once.
Oh, I don't eat pot, man. I can, and that's why your liver changes it, and that's
it's
totally different
so
high.
Much better.
It's a psychoactive drug when you eat it. It
well,
makes you
it's different. It's different. It's longer lasting.
You get enough of it.
Well, it's great. You go down to the shop here in Oregon. You get a couple of those brownies. You eat them, and then you just melt into the couch and play freaking video games for like 4 hours. It's awesome.
And now, if you're doing that, Mad Dodge, it's okay. But my problem is, it depends upon the brownie. I took a quarter pound of some dank stank Bubba Kush and ground it up and made can of flour out of it. In other words, I just ground it up really good in the Oscar and then used like just a tenth of the amount of flour, and I made one batch of brownies with a quarter pound in it. And so I ate a whole brownie thinking I've been smoking dope forever, blah, blah, blah. I've only, never really had edibles, never. Man alive, oh God have mercy. About an hour and a half later, I was like, ooh, I'm getting high. This is nice. An hour and a half later, I was laying on the couch staring at the ceiling, thinking to myself, if I die from marijuana, I'll be the first one in history and I'll be famous.
You OD'd on pot.
No. And mentally, yes. But no, in all reality, I just took too much. I was just stupid.
You exceeded your serving size. No, I've seen it. I had a friend's girlfriend from Czech Republic. She was over. She had never really smoked, and she did the same thing. She ate a full brownie. And again, it wasn't as concentrated as it sounds like what you did, but she ended up doing the same thing and kind of hugging the toilet.
Oh, I was throwing up too. I think it was because of the mixture of alcohol that I had that day. I was a little bit into the tequila when I decided to eat.
No, you don't mix. You don't mix
No.
Oh, dude. Oh,
now, memes. Since then, I took the same strength brownies and cut it into a quarter, and I mean it, like a little square. I make them for a guy that's got cancer right now, and a little square. And the reason I make them so strong is because that little tiny bit works. And if you are fat, like a lot of these people are, or if you're having cancer and you need to watch, you're not getting all that sugar.
Well, let's face it, man. Who only eats a piece of a brownie?
Oh God! If you ate a whole one of these, if you were in Michigan, I'd show you memes.
I'm just saying, man. Maybe you should just lower your dosage a little bit. That's all.
I do. I would never eat another whole one to this day. You see how I smoke pot. You even said it. And sometimes I learn the lesson. Look, I feel like I'm dominating MCs here. MC JK don't want to hear about marijuana right now. He wants to come in. He wants the feds to kick my door in and arrest my ass.
Have you guys heard the Joey Diaz weed stories?
The Diaz? You mean the MMA guy?
No. Joey Diaz is a comedian.
Oh,
he's
Joey.
He's a
I'm
friend of
thinking
Joe
about
Rogan.
Nick Diaz.
He's not related to the Diaz brothers, although that'd be funny. He's an older guy, right? This dude, what he will do is he takes Chiba Chews, which are the gummies you can get in Colorado, and he takes the really, really heavy milligram one, like the really strong ones, and he wraps them in the wrappers for the really, really light ones. And then he gives them to people for the first time.
Oh God!
He calls it a religious experience.
It is. It ain't right though. Really, it'll really make you think you're having a heart attack. Is what happened to me. Anxiety.
No, it's not cool because like if you smoke, yeah, maybe for like 20, 30 minutes, you're a little bit lightheaded.
Ooh.
But you eat that, dude. That stuff's lasting hours.
Yeah. Get comfy because you're gonna be paranoid, thinking you're gonna fucking die for about an hour and a half, 2 hours bare minimum. Oh Lord, it's so funny. But you know, there's this thing you see in movies and popular culture has made it like, oh, they snuck weed in the brownies into the teacher. No, don't do that. A, that's a felony, and you go to prison for 15 years. B, that ain't cool, man. If somebody don't know they're going to ingest it that way, I mean, that is a whole nother level to smoke. I can't stress it. If there is anybody out there that ever listens to this and you do smoke marijuana, even, or if you don't do either and you're going to try to eat it, please be careful. If someone tells you it's powerful, don't just it can't kill you. You know, won't ruin your brain, but it can make you think you're going to die for a couple 3 hours.
Well, apparently here, one major obstacle that the public security minister, Gilad Erdogan, is requesting millions of shekels for storing the drug at the airport. Given its legal status as a controlled substance, the Treasury has yet to agree to transfer the funds keeping exports stuck.
Yeah, see, and if they legalize it and they put money away in the budget to export it, let them export it, right, MC? Come on. Why not turn it into hemp and export that? Do something with it.
Yeah, MC. Should marijuana be legal?
What do I know about freaking Israel?
Well, I'm trying to expand my sources. I went to an Israeli newspaper website and got a good story, damn it, MC. Don't fucking come on the show and put me down. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, hold on just a moment. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Can I put you down, Matt? You know it's because I love you.
Yeah.
Well, I want somebody else's opinion.
I ran him away to the green room.
Man, I'll tell you what, the most ridiculous thing on earth to me is prohibition of any drug. And then when I think of prohibition of marijuana, when all these countries that could name it, except for Saudi Arabia and the crazy towel rappers, it's like alcohol's legal there. Oh, but marijuana is so dangerous. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, you can't compare marijuana with alcohol.
Well, no, and I know what MC's point of view is because he said it a million times on the Redeye. Elect your legislators to change the law. Well, we have at the state level, sir. 31 of us, 31 states have done this.
And 31 states could just as easily have elected electors to the federal government. All right, 31% of the 31 of the 50, which means you have 19 to 50. Right. In fact, if you did it with the senators of those states, you would have a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, and you would be able to easily pass it in the House. So don't come back and give me these excuses about, well, the federal government's different. It's still people's legislation. They could still do it. Now, when it comes to this situation in Israel, to me, from the way it looks here, it looks like it's not a legislative issue. It looks like more of it's a bureaucratic issue where they can decide when to do it just from the whim of bureaucrats. At least that's how I read the article.
Wait, MC. Did you just say we need to pass a constitutional amendment to legalize marijuana?
Did I say that? No. I said you have legislators that can sit up there and decriminalize marijuana tomorrow.
Well, no. Okay, I understand you did not say that at all, but basically, if we do have 31 states and there's enough public will, couldn't we do that here in the United States?
Could you? Yeah.
Well, legislators are too busy trying to give citizenship to the world, so I don't think...
Well, no. These folks need jobs and stuff like that, so, I mean, we do need more bud tenders.
That'd be the best thing. What do you do for a living? A bud tender?
Hey, no, that's a real job.
That's a good job, yeah.
Dude, it's a good paying job. My ex nearly took a job at the dispensary down the street.
That's gonna be the new kids meal at Burger King. You want a 6-pack of bud tenders? That's the dumbest joke. I'm sorry.
No, that's actually funny. I got it because I love dry, stupid jokes. That was great, actually. think a 6-pack of Bud 10, please, with a side of silly sauce.
Well, no,
Oh,
there's
but-
lots of jobs that come from marijuana. There's the hemp industry. You could make clothing. You can make building supplies out of hemp. You can do a lot of things other than just smoke the weed.
Yeah, but the plant, even though the plant is the same, the cultivation and the usage is completely different.
Okay. How do
Ogre, are
make-
you playing games? Or you're supposed to be paying attention.
No, I'm paying attention. This is actually a recording I did earlier. I'm not playing at all.
Hey, I linked you a YouTube video on Mad's channel.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Old shit.
He is now Bad Ogre.
Okay, I might be playing, but I'm paying attention.
I would imagine if Ogre could be anybody from the Batman universe, I think he'd be Bane, but not not Nolan Bane, real Bane.
To be fair, at one point I did play Bane for Halloween.
I thought you were going to say Joker, but whatever. And Two-Face would be good for me, but Bane, whatever. I don't know. You shouldn't pick yourself, or you're an idiot. This is a great game, though.
I wouldn't be a villain. I'd be some kind of weird rando guy who occasionally happens to be seen as villainous.
So you'd be like the hockey stick guy in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Casey Jones, brother.
You know what? Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'd totally be Casey Jones. But I wouldn't have a bag of like sports equipment. I'd have like a bag of ridiculously oversized sex toys.
That's pretty funny, actually.
The thing is, though,
That's
it's,
what the hockey stick was for.
if
You haven't lived till you've had your ass kicked with anal beads.
yeah, the thing is, if that game was made, say, this year, he wouldn't actually be chasing after established villains anymore. He'd just be going after anybody committing an online hate crime, wouldn't he?
Oh shit, he'd be beating up my poor avatar.
He would. He literally going through somebody's window, finding some teenager on the fucking internet and beating the crap out of him. Said apparently someone with brown skin was once offended by your words.
Hey,
I thought they did that in Clerks too.
hey, in Gotham, is it possible? Like swatting's a thing here. Is it possible to Batman people in Gotham?
You got well, people call it crimes and shit that I'm supposed to solve when I do other stuff, but
It's called a bat trap.
yeah,
That would be the
trap.
greatest little side quest thing to mod into a game like
You
this.
can like
It's-
break
Oh, yeah.
somebody's shit while they're doing a live stream.
Well, yeah, you can
Yeah.
given quests that it turns out are just like other people sending you to fuck with people they don't like.
Yeah. You can also have bars. You got to think like the bar with his energy. You can have one with toxic whiteness. You can have one with toxic masculinity. Lose points for mansplaining when you're actually interrogating someone.
Yes, yes. The horrid mansplaining bastards.
However, if Bruce Wayne decides to swap gender halfway through the game, you get extra bonus points.
They need to make some comic book person needs to put the like the worst the worst thing you think of when you think of a feminist, all the worst things into a single villain in a comic book.
Well, you'd have to dye the Joker's hair blue. You'd have to at least give him a pair of he'd have to be fat, extremely fat. He'd have to have his breast out with something written on it, like
I could
slut or
see
something.
Lex Luthor becoming a male feminist as part of a plot.
Oh, definitely. That's actually a very good idea because you know that he won't go down for all his crimes. It'll just be because he's a fucking predator.
He would
Why go for
frame
the male-
Superman as an agent of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Why go for the male feminist? Go for a regular feminist and have Catwoman instead of stealing shit. She just fucking does pussy hat walks. Begging
Yeah,
for shit.
The problem with Catwoman is I would imagine she would hate feminists because, she has a skill.
Poison Ivy.
Also has a skill.
Yeah, that's just basically a
Maybe
feminist.
Harley Quinn. Maybe Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's whole skill is being sexy and crazy.
Yeah, she's hot. She's fucking hot.
Yeah, I think
can
it
see-
wouldn't be Poison Ivy, it'd just be Vinegar Face fucking Ivy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't dig Poison Ivy. I don't think she was even meant to be really overly. I think she was meant to repulse men, but Harley Quinn is in my opinion, every guy's dream. Like some hot fucking 22-year-old gymnastics girl that's a fucking dirty, just beat a motherfucker with a ball bat and then suck your dick while in her blood. It's just
Actually, thinking of a feminist you could have as a Batman villain with no makeup would be Brianna Wu as a scarecrow.
Perfect. Yes.
If you actually know, you could have Poison Ivy become a feminist, and one of her like she has this plot where she ends up turning the men of Gotham into soy boy clones.
Holy shit! They all become Steve Shives. It'd be fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, they all develop baseball caps and really shitty beards,
and it fits her gimmick. They all have weird butthole mouths that she couldn't manage to get quite right.
Yeah, they're the full-time moderators on his live chat, deleting every single fucking message.
I think I figured out the lips, by the way. I think he moisturizes his lips with KY. I think that's why they look like that.
Oh yeah, so Batman basically has to hunt out fucking people like Baron to fucking stop him doing the what's the response videos.
Well, no, and he's one of those guys that probably put on makeup for a YouTube video, right? You know, like they think they're in the movies and shit.
Probably. He probably wears it anyway, so he can know the female struggle.
Yeah. But it's a brilliant idea. I mean, you might even get, maybe one of the 2 fucking responses to a game that Fremer's Frequency has ever given on Steam.
I have a weird. I've been getting weirdly into the Diversity in Comics YouTube channel.
Yes, he's very entertaining with his opinion, but it's more entertaining with the people he actually sets off.
Yeah, he's surprisingly entertaining. Like I couldn't imagine the way he does things would be entertaining to me, but something about him, I don't know. He's fun to watch. I'll give him that. Especially when
you gotta have a catch. And to be fair, I thought I played a pretty good Bane a few years ago.
Yeah, when I went to Dragon Con earlier this past year, one of the people I was with did Bane, and he there was a Batman, and he had to show the Batman how to do the backbreaking pose.
Ooh, that reminds me. Hold on. Continue on. I think I do have a picture of that.
And so he taught that Batman a new cosplaying skill.
Okay, what was worse? Ben Affleck as Batman or fucking the nipples on what the fuck's his name?
Clooney.
Well, by all accounts, I haven't seen it, but by all accounts, Ben Affleck was the best part of Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah, Affleck does definitely look the best Batman, and especially the fact it seems to be the first time, probably since fucking Adam West was Batman, that they've actually done a bat costume that's just not entirely fucking black.
Yeah. What I want them to do is make a Batman Beyond movie. And originally the goal was going to try to get Adam West to play original Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's dead, so it's going to have to be Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, yeah.
Well, I like the fucking Dark Knight series. I like
Christian
those movies.
Bale.
If Keaton dies, it's going to have to be Christian Bale.
No, it could be I was going to say Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer would be next.
Looking out at the size he's at these days.
Val Kilmer would be the next in line, followed by George Clooney, followed by Christian Bale. So, in other words, if Michael Keaton dies before a Batman Beyond movie comes out, we're going to have to wait till Val Kilmer and George Clooney die as well.
Oh shit! You know what, you guys? You said George Clooney. That reminds me. My wife was watching season 1 of Roseanne, and George Clooney is in that. It was fucking crazy.
He's also in Facts of Life.
Yeah, he played her boss, didn't he? But was it Booker? Wasn't it? I think he's called.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
In
She's
one of the
going
later
on a
seasons of Facts of Life, he was their neighbor.
No, you guys, it's horrible. She's on a Roseanne kick till like 3:30 in the morning, and the last few nights I've been like, I'm gonna go to bed early, and then she's watching Roseanne all fucking night.
They're
I'm like,
bringing it back.
Nice.
They're bringing it back, guys.
It is funny, but god damn it, I don't want to hear it at 3 in the morning.
Has the humor aged well, Mad Dodge?
Actually, yeah. Especially with my kids being almost teenagers, I'm like, yeah, they're exactly like that.
I'm waiting for a Married with Children.
Kids sound like they're 3 or 4 who were just screaming. Y'all didn't see me kill the one-year-old man. I just slayed all them snipers, man. Oh.
I have twins that are 1, and then I have kids that range up to 12 here.
How many of them did you find in the
He
park,
has a
and now they're
buffet of
yours?
children.
But anyway, we're talking about Batman, not my amount of kids, since that fluctuates from whatever stream we're on. If you guys want to call it 150 or 25, it's never the real number. But anyway.
You got 6 kids. That's a shitload.
Oh. Raised Catholic, so it could be worse.
It could be worse.
True?
That's very true. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, here.
Oh, guys.
What
I know this is kind of generally
I was going to
political.
say, it's about time he taught that wife of his how to speak, isn't it?
What was that? Oh, what was that? That was one kid wanting to color. And sorry, I didn't click off. This is why I mute. You guys criticize me for never talking, but that's why I mute.
Oh, just relax, MDP. Go get a big old beer or something. Relax, dude.
I recently found out my brother's an asshole.
Hey, it's all right. Bane's here for you.
That's a Bane.
Oh, that's you right there?
That was me from PAX 2013.
Is that you on the left or the right?
You. That's you.
That was me back in 2013. And speaking of Batman, I did meet the Batman.
Damn, you're a big old motherfucker.
We had to fight. And then, of course, as we were talking about at one point, we had to break the bat.
Oh, dude, you shit me. Is that really you right there? Yeah.
I still got the outfit and the mask.
You did it over the knee.
Dude. You're big old some bitch. You look good in that. I mean, you look like Bane. That's no shit.
I haven't worked out for a while, but I did play a pretty good Bane back then.
You looked like fucking Bane to me.
Give me 6 months to the gym. I could be back like that.
Well, I don't want to be Batman. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you have to join a secret society of assassins and learn to be a detective. It's just a lot of hassle.
No, I mean, I don't want that guy kicking my ass.
It's all good, all good. Hey, you just got to eat the big turkey leg down at the gaming conference.
When you practice the art of ching ching, you never have to worry about somebody kicking your ass.
Did you say the art of ching ching?
Okay.
No,
I want to go backwards.
Around.
I forgot MC was here. I want to go back a little bit. MC, if President Trump throws former President Obama under the bus, if this memo and this whole thing has to do with him, do you think that damages the office of the presidency?
I think it damages the legacy of Obama.
Yeah, it'll damage the legacy of Obama, definitely. It's going to create a crisis within the nation, but unfortunately, if the memo has what everyone thinks it has in it, right, then it's something that's going to have to happen. It's going to have to get outed, because you can't have the executive branch on its own just deciding I'm going to surveil political opponents, all right, without any kind of repercussion, just so that they can keep an eye on political opponents.
Okay, fair enough. But that's what Nixon was accused of, and he did far less. He really Nixon did, if you look at it.
There was a break-in.
Well, let me finish. If Obama committed a crime by surveilling Mr. Trump, this was before he was president, should he be prosecuted? Bollock said yes, absolutely. I say yes. Know that it will damage the presidency, and that's why Lyndon Johnson pardoned Nixon. Do you want Obama to go to jail for this?
Lyndon Johnson did not pardon Nixon. It was Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford, sorry. My bad. One president, they all blend together, dude. Come on now. Give me a break. But give me a little bit of slack. I'm multitasking here.
The reason, I mean, you can look at it from that perspective. Would Trump pardon Obama? To be honest, depends on the situation. It depends on what evidence is actually out there. Okay, honestly, I mean, we're relying upon, we're building a scenario that on what we think happened just from what we've seen in the press. Okay, that's not a good way of. We haven't really seen any real evidence. All right, we do know. All right, I mean, there's pretty solid evidence that the FBI was. There were members within the FBI, I should say, were doing things to the candidacy of Trump and to him as when he was president-elect. I mean, that's pretty solid, right? In my opinion, you don't come back and say, "Well, we need to take out an insurance policy against him." I mean, that's pretty obvious that you're taking active action of some sort. Okay, now does that go higher? How much higher does it go? To be honest, we don't know the answer to that, and it would depend upon the evidence that exists. Do I believe, me personally, that Obama was having this done? Yes. Do I believe that Obama was directing it? No, because I don't think Obama cared enough to direct it himself. That's not how he did things. All right. But did he know about it? Sure he did. All right. Should he be held accountable? Yeah, of course he should. Now, to what degree, whether or not you go, okay, let's take a look at this. If we try to put him on trial, how will it turn out? You got to examine all of that at that point. And then, to be honest, it would probably do Trump a world of good just to say, okay, I'm going to pardon you. It isn't. If he decided to pardon Obama, it probably wouldn't hurt him politically. Let's put it that way. And there are potentials where he would gain a lot potentially. Now, the thing about Trump is I don't think Trump looks at the presidency from a political perspective, so he may not even care about that aspect of things. He may not even be thinking along those lines.
No, but you need to think along those lines because, okay, the president makes, I brought this up earlier, but you weren't here, and I want to hear your thoughts. I brought it up earlier. The president makes very controversial decisions, some that are borderline illegal, like the drone strike of an American citizen under Obama. What if President Trump is making some of these decisions? He needs to think about this because the next president might be a Democrat. The next president, holy shit, could somehow be a libertarian, and then you all are fucked. I mean, really, do you want the presidency demoralized to the point where every president comes under a lens right after they leave office?
Well, that ship sailed. That ship's... You guys got to understand, that ship sailed under Clinton. Okay?
And then it kept on going under Bush.
All right. The ship sailed under Clinton when, well, no, not the same way. All right. Clinton was the first president, all right, who, when he left office, didn't quietly let his predecessor or successor do whatever it was. Up to that point, they never got involved in politics. You did not see ex-presidents making comments. They may appear at a ceremony or something, but it was just that. They weren't making political statements. Okay? Bill Clinton left, and he was continually making political statements. Then, of course, he's trying to finagle, putting his wife in there. But ever since then, now when politicians leave, they try to go away. All right, they're constantly being asked and harangued by the press to make political statements. Before they would.
Well, let's be fair. Mr. Obama did not go away. His home was in Iowa, right?
No. I understand, but he
stayed
several,
in D.C.
Yeah, he did, but I mean, and that's part of the issue, though. The thing is that the press is seeking these ex-presidents out to try and get political statements on them, and that got broken and was broken under Clinton. Clinton broke that unspoken rule to go away. Okay, so that ship sailed. I mean, as far as what a person's going to be like, the lens that they're going to be under, it doesn't matter.
Well, MC actually brings up a good point because there are certain unwritten traditions. And another presidential tradition is leaving the incoming president a note from the former president. So I would be curious on what this panel thinks to speculate on what President Obama left as a note for President Trump.
Here's the keys.
Yeah. I mean, What could he have written? It like "fuck off, Whitey." I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it's immaterial because well, hopefully it's immaterial because we'll never know.
Oh, I know, but
I got it. I got it. Roswell happened. I told him.
Here's the number for the alien overlords. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah. The Earth is flat.
It is. Yes, it is. Very astute of you, Memes.
No, and I want to say goodbye to Bollocks before he bounces out. And any last thoughts, sir? Thank you for joining the Redeye tonight.
Hey, man, all I can say is, hey, Bollocks, man, can I tell you something before we go? Can I say something to you, brother? Well, you know what? Then fuck you. God save the Queen.
And so we have another ogre rage quit.
Well, I think that's becoming his little thing. Anyway, your thoughts on what was written to President Trump from Mr. Obama?
See, my initial thought is, especially after President Obama said, "At least I will go down as a U.S. president," would be a whole maybe fuck you. But President Obama's too much of an adult to do something like that. I'm sure it was something witty, not completely clear, like, well, I'm going to have to go with maybe something from like Spider-Man. With great power comes an even greater responsibility.
That would be great if he wrote a Spider-Man quote in the fucking book that's for all the presidents. Like, I think you could read what the last or no, it's just a note, right? It's not
exactly. It's just a little personal handwritten note. Yeah. No, but let us not forget that it was the great Herman Cain whom said, and I believe it was from the Pokemon movie. I forget the actual quote. I just know Herman Cain was quoting Pokemon.
Oh, damn it. I don't know anything about Pokemon. But, MC, what do you think was written there? You brought it up.
I didn't bring it up.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody brought it up.
I brought it up.
MC, your idea.
Part of it's MC.
What did he put in there? I don't know. I really don't. You know, probably just good luck. It would be something just along those lines.
Omega, which I think is Orion. You've been muted the whole time. You tried to talk. This is your time.
I just don't. I do a lot of listening. I don't really talk very much. It's just how I am.
Well, you troll good in the comments. Any thoughts on Obama's last words to the incoming president? You gotta have something good here.
You think that was trolling? Okay. I don't know, honestly. If anything does go down, I hope Trump doesn't forgive his enemies. That's what I hope for.
Ooh, the fiery sword of justice, then.
Well, the thing to remember is that you still have to do, when you're the president of the United States, you're the president of the United States. You have to do what you feel is best for the nation. Okay, so and that has to be kept in mind. And sometimes doing what's best for the nation isn't something that you personally want to do.
So with great power comes an even greater responsibility.
Oh, enough with Spider-Man. But no.
Is it going to be beneficial to the nation, though?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, you're gonna take a look at what's going to benefit the nation first. It is a good question as to whether or not something will benefit the nation or not. Now, like I said, the thing about Obama, from what I've seen and how I've seen Obama act, okay, and how he does things. Obama is more of a passive individual when it comes to this kind of stuff. He doesn't direct it. He is not a good director. He lets the people around him. He basically let the people around him run wild because they were fellow travelers. Now, is it his responsibility to rein them in, to prevent them from doing things? Of course it is. But I think that if the memo is everything that we say, everyone thinks it is, all right. If all of that's true, and there are doubts about that, don't think that this is just a slam dunk with this memo. All right, I do expect this memo to have certain things in it that point to specific individuals, especially within the FBI. All right, that were doing some heinous shit. Now, whether or not that goes as high as Obama, all right, you remember there are levels in there. All right, there are plenty of quote unquote cutouts. Do I believe that Loretta Lynch could be in trouble? Yes, Loretta Lynch could be one of the people on the hot seat. Do I believe that Susan Rice could be in this? Yes, Susan Rice could be in the hot seat. Do I believe necessarily? I mean, obviously Comey's in the hot seat. Do I believe necessarily that this is going to go all the way to Obama? Unless there's a ton of people coming out saying Obama did this, you're not going to be able to convict him. So even offering to give him a pardon just in case, right? It's even problematic, to be honest, because who knows if Obama would even take something like that.
Oh, it would be advantageous to him not to at this point, right? But that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, they said that they found the text messages between the FBI agents. How will that affect the release of the memo?
It's just going to add fuel to the fire. I mean, it's not. The memo is going to get released whether this idiot Boyd wants it to be released or not. Boyd's objection to the memo, releasing of the memo, is he hasn't seen it, and nobody in the Justice Department's seen it, and nobody in the FBI has seen it, and that's what he's objecting to. And I understand his objections, but in this case, dude, you're going to have to suck it up. You had people in your department that were guilty, and the reality is that they've shown a propensity to try and cover up evidence. Right? The fact that all of a sudden we couldn't find these text messages, and then here they all are. Okay, that's even worse. Okay,
they threw them in the recycling bin by mistake.
All right, it means that somebody tried to hide it and is incompetent about trying to hide shit. Okay, that's what that means. That means somebody tried to hide it, and at the same time didn't know what the hell they were doing.
MC, that would never happen.
Yeah, okay. So you end up in a situation where obviously there's some damning things on several levels with these memos. All right, you can't trust anybody in the Justice Department currently, and you can't trust anybody in the FBI currently. All right, to be stand up, and that's why. Since you don't know who to trust, so you don't know who you can trust, I wouldn't release this memo to Boyd anyway. I would sit up there and release the memo, out the memo, and let the chips fall where they may. Boyd, I understand his concerns, but guess what, Boyd? Your group, your people, the people you're responsible for. Yes, I understand you're defending them, but they're not trustworthy enough to actually do this anymore.
Okay, MC. How far down the chain of command in the FBI would this go? And is it plausible to just fire the top level and promote from within?
Oh, I think you got to root out you got to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. You got to root out all of this now. You really this is a serious investigation. You got to find out just how deep the rot goes. Now, I suspect that the rot is localized in certain areas at the top. Okay. So I don't know if necessarily it's going to go down to the average local agent, but I do believe that you need to fire pretty much the entire staff. If you're really serious about getting rid of the rot, you need to fire the entire FBI staff. All right, in Washington, and you need to fire the entire FBI staff in New York. They have to be totally.
Well, okay, so I know the FBI is a domestic policing force. I get that. But how would the international community see that if suddenly Trump just fired?
It doesn't matter how the FBI, how the international community sees it. It's something that has to get done. Otherwise, you're not going to get rid of the rot. What other people around the world look at it as, it is what it is. It's better than allowing that rot to continue.
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely, sir. Memes, any thoughts?
Well, see, my general perspective is I do kind of agree with MC in that there's a certain unwritten like etiquette that typically, unless somebody really screwed up, and that's why it really depends on what actually happened in said memo, the information. However, as a refreshing aside that would counter that perspective is if President Trump really has been getting spied on essentially for the past 2 or 3 years, and they really haven't found a smoking gun, that in many ways kind of exonerates him, assuming that we don't actually do find any smoking gun and everything, which I don't see any of. But essentially, as long as you're not out there doing anything wicked out of the bounds and stuff like that, and I get it. President Obama, I did get fairly irked when he does issue a Jones strike on somebody who is an American citizen, just because that you're getting rid of due process there, man, and that ain't cool. But just as long as there's nothing there and you haven't really committed an extraordinary crime, if you're bordering on legality, that may be something else. But I mean, I'm curious on what's in there, and especially if it is something we do find there is systemic corruption. I mean, like MC said, I mean, we really just gotta cut that rod out and just hold people to account and just basically just keep people honest.
So I know the best way to do this would be for President Trump to just release a memo after the Senate committee passes it, which they will. It will probably go to Trump. If he doesn't, do you think there's a chance somebody will leak it to WikiLeaks?
Is that why Julian Assange is having health problems all of a sudden?
That, well, I'm not saying there is a correlation, but something to think about.
Well,
right?
I know, but hey, I mean, the guy's been locked up for like 5.5 years, and I mean, I guess he is in pretty bad shape. So, I mean, I really shouldn't even try to joke about that. But I'm just saying that probably somebody, it will come out at some point. Too many folks have seen it at this point, so at least somebody, you'll have one person will have like a near photographic memory that they'll pretty much summarize it, something at some point it'll get declassified. I mean, that's where I kind of see it going, unless there is something in there that just legitimately would undermine the national security overall of the United States.
MC, any thoughts? Would that be a good thing if Assange released it? It'd be better if the United States government.
Why do you assume that Assange has it?
I'm not assuming that he has it. I'm saying that he'd probably get his hands on it eventually. Don't you think?
No, I don't. You got to look at it. Assange's organization, all right, relies upon low-level people. Much of what he's doing relies upon low-level people and hackers to get his information. This isn't going to get hacked, and he doesn't have the contacts with the higher-level people.
Well, yeah, very valid point. Any last thoughts, you guys? We've hit the 2-hour mark. That's about where I wanted to wrap it up. So go ahead with any last thoughts. No? All right. Well, this has been the Redeye stream number 76. Thank you very much for watching. Good night and good luck.